Communication. Now, I wrote something that this past week is soon to be published about communication as a contributor in accidents, right?
Mm-hmm.
When we're talking about top management, and we're talking about, and I include safety directors as part of that management leadership team, no matter how you report, you're in that group to influence the decisions that are made. Your communication is solid. And I think that's what Dr. Reason is saying. In every safety management system, whether it's 45001 or Z10, what do they talk about? Good communication, making sure communication makes it from the front line to the decision makers within the organization so you know what's going on. Because I truly believe this in my career, the higher up you go in an organization, the less you really know what's happening. Because it goes through different layers of filter, right?
So, and I'll add on to that if I may. One of the other things that goes along with communication is accountability. When we talk about accountability in a lot of these disasters was pushed into the middle. Upwards, there's no accountability because management either didn't know or that wasn't their job, right? Which it is. And the people who got hurt and the people at the task level who were making the decisions based on incomplete information, they didn't know. But yet this middle bulge of accountability, right? Everybody says shit flows downhill, and that's what happens is the shit flows downhill because they will say, well, despite all of these things, despite all of these gaps, those poor bastards made the wrong decision. Well, I can't make a decision based on what's incomplete.
Incomplete communication. At the BP Deepwater Horizon incident, the initial people who were blamed, which I always find it ironic that it's easy to blame people who are dead and they can't speak for themselves. Mm-hmm. But you have to look at their decision making in the context of the information that they had. If you look at the Chernobyl incident, they had incomplete information. If they had all the information, would they have made the same decision? And usually in these major accidents, the organization starts out with human error, but when you get governmental entities and like in the United States, the Chemical Safety Board involved, then they start showing some of the organizational dynamics and failures that were major contributing factors to the incident itself. So whether you are pushing it down, ultimately it ends up back on the desk to the people that are in charge. So to avoid those type things, and I think that's what's really good about Reason, is we got to start looking at the safety system, the management system is something that's living, breathing. It's something we have to sustain. It's not that we achieve safety, right? Safety is something that is in our DNA, and that defines the corporate culture, and management gets the culture it's deserved. From Reason, this is one that I really like. I'm gonna feed it to you.
Bring it.
Rather than being the main instigator of an accident, operators tend to be the inheritors of system defects created by poor design, incorrect installation, faulty maintenance, and bad management decisions. Their part is usually that of adding the final garnish to a lethal brew whose ingredients have been long in the cooking.
That's eloquent.
I really like that statement. I've used that cited in several papers I've written. But one of the things I want to get your feedback, this is sort of a shift. It also includes not only system safety and process safety, but personal safety. When we think about how workers get injured, normally it's really quick to blame that worker for doing something stupid or breaking some procedure and writing it up with the corrective action being retraining and putting them back out there without ever considering the latent system defects that may have led to that person making a mistake.
Right.
So what do you think?
So, I think the gist of this all is that a good investigator, and I think we'll see what you think about this, right? A good investigator starts way back and moves forward to the incident. And we talked about this in a recent incident that you investigated. You went from the point of the occurrence and you walked away from the incident to the outer reaches of where did this come from, and you move inward, not outward. It's, especially if the person is dead, right? You can't move outward from, what they were thinking at the time, but you can move inward to look at, what were those things that ended up with this worker making a decision that ultimately ended their life. I love the thought of the worker making a decision that's a garnish on just a melting pot of, if you're thinking about grandma's stew. Grandma's stew has been simmering on the stove for, 3 hours. And, if you put the wrong seasoning in, it's going to blow.
Yeah, we call that gumbo in the South.
But there's bad gumbo and there's good gumbo.
That's right.
And so if you put the right seasoning in, it's going to be fine 90% of the time. But if on that off chance people look at the gumbo and they think, well, this is, I'm seeing it different, and they put the wrong seasoning in and it blows, that's what this is talking about. You have to look at all of the things that go in order to put the right seasoning on the top. And the seasoning is, workers at the task making the right decisions.
Real simple to blame the worker and say they made a bad decision. But why did they make that decision? What context did they make that decision? And he emphasized poor design. How many people have been injured and killed through the poor design of the worker? Mm-hmm. We're asking the worker to do something abnormal in an abnormal condition, right? Incorrect maintenance or faulty maintenance. The machine malfunctions, is not working as designed, and we have to have a workaround to keep production going. Mm-hmm. So when we have somebody reaching and defeating machine guarding to clear jams, that happens often because the machine was not installed correctly, we have set up the conditions where an accident is almost inevitable. So I think, I'm passionate about bending the serious injury and fatality trend. And I think for us as a practice, safety practice, we could all benefit by going back to Dr. Reason's book and reminding ourselves of some of the foundational elements that define a safety management system.